waste my life. I don't wanna waste my life.
With the beats.
It's just some things, there's no going back. You know what I'm saying?
jwoodbeats.com.
Yeah. I'm not the one with the issues. I hear you. Now here is your tissue. If I'm moving too fast, I might have to dismiss you. And it's really too bad, cause I really will miss you. But I'm not the one with the issues. I left him at church when I made it official. I murdered the curse with my own benediction. Left God in the dirt, call it death of the fiction. Superstition will be served an eviction. Competition will be left in the ditch. Oh my God, it's too damn hot in this kitchen. The fishes of men are now swimming with fishes. Oops, my bad, I guess I'm moving too vicious. Verses sold, I gotta put them on your wish list. Bless my soul, cause I'm dodging your little hit list. I guess you know, you just lost another witness.
Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, I'm out of here. I can do anything, fuck your opinions and energy. I finally got the epitome. My biggest hindrance was God can't do nothing but fail. Greater is me. I never needed your deity. All of this human capacity. When it gets rough, I can pick myself up and prevail. Cause I don't need anything other than people who fuck with me. Good business, it starts with good company. That's why your boy is obsessed with community. Cause greater is we. We can create opportunity, doing what God never did, cause a God never could, but a people is all we need. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go, yeah. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go, gotta let me go right now. Gotta let me go, gotta let me go.
Happy Sunday. What's going on, you happy heathens? What's going on out there? Welcome back to another weekend of Sunday sessions. So glad to have you with us. I see so many of you in the chat already, familiar faces. I love it. Man, of course, thank you for joining us today. As you're coming in, please don't forget to like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell. Consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this community channel or content in any way that makes sense for you. And then, of course, check out our merch because we have some of the dopest stuff in the game, right? It's out there. And we have books. What's up, Dale? What's up, Kurt? What's up, Mudley? So glad to see y'all. I hope y'all are excited about today. I am, man. Like, Sundays have definitely become my highlight, especially with so much going on within the week. Sundays are the day that I actually get to just spend some time with people who are as passionate about community as I am and get to have some real good conversations. So I am looking forward to this. All right, then. Well, I'm going. Oh, I see Sharon out there. What's up?
Hello.
All right. So I'm going to jump into my acknowledgments real quick. Obviously, Discord groups. So I'm going to be pushing those as hard as I can for as long as I can, especially until I can get back active in Discord the way that I want to. But listen, if you have a group idea, holla at your boy. Let's get that thing rolling. Also, watch parties. Consider hosting a watch party during our Sunday session. It's a great way to start experimenting with building local community right where you are. And then, of course, tell us where you're watching from. If you've been paying attention, we've been building out a map of where everybody is so we can start building community intentionally. And then, of course, I've been dropping this little idea that we're going to start doing house parties monthly. And that's just a way as we have new people who are joining our community. It's just going to be a great way to get them acclimated, get them introduced, and just have a good time around each other while learning about the vision and learning about each other. And then, as you know, game night was moved last night. And I had a fever, so I was in bed half of the day. Kyle was trying her best to make it work, and things didn't work out that way. So we're moving it to next week. Is that right?
Correct.
Yep. Next week. Game night is next week. So keep your eyes open. Yeah. And then, of course, join us for Bible study with the Ex-Pastor this week. Man, the conversations have been phenomenal having Jason on. as a co-host, having that charismatic / Catholic vibe, man, it's been dope. Ebony Ivory. And then, of course, as I say kind of every week, stay tuned to the very end of the show to see in credit format how our community has grown, right?
Yes,
All right,
yes,
I'm done with my part.
And of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and purchase Christ Held Up. We appreciate those who have already supported, getting some great feedback and reviews. And stay tuned for more books to come.
Yes.
Got info for days, so keep a lookout for that. Also, this is the last week of October, so you know what that means. Next week is the first week. It's the first of the month of November, so we're gonna have another installment of the Ex-Pastor call-in show. So be ready to invite your friends, family, whoever you want to invite.
Yes.
If you have any questions for Cal and Darante, be sure to have them ready and join us, because you'll jump in the screening room with me, and then we'll take you over to him.
That's it.
We'll be excited to have you all there as well. Also, as you know, we've been talking for a lot of these sessions about needing volunteers, who we like to call contributors to what we're doing, and supporters. So if you have 1 to 3 hour free times on Sundays and Wednesdays, feel free to let us know on our calendar. You can sign up to help. And the help is really light. It's not much that we put on you right now. So we just appreciate all the support that we have so far.
Yes.
Those who have been helping us with in chat on the back end, thank you for that already. But we dropped the calendar in the chat where you can sign up for that. And of course, if you haven't already, go ahead and visit windowshop.dldd.us. We're also going to drop that in the chat. That's where you can see our new merch on that website. It'll take you directly there. And that's window with a Y.
Window with a Y.
With a Y. And so at some point, we'll tell you a story about how behind that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And don't forget, if you haven't joined Discord already, go ahead and click the link. We're going to post our the link to the post session hangout if you want to jump in and hang out with those who have joined the show already.
Awesome. All right, hold on. Did we get through that in 7 minutes? I think that is the quickest we've ever gotten through an intro.
Technically 5, because we played videos for 2 minutes.
That's funny. Oh, that is true. Oh, man. Oh, that's awesome.
Boots. Hello.
Play the piano. Oh, that's funny. Ooh. Well, on the outro video that we played, that's actually me playing the piano on the outro. All right, man. Well, we're so glad to have y'all in with us today. I do have one more announcement. All right, so we have Ex-Pastor call-in show next week, and then we're gonna have the last Ex-Pastor call-in show of the year in December. So we're going to do that one a little differently. So instead of it just being me and Kyle, what I am working on is having some other ex-pastors join us. Yes. So be looking forward to that. All right. So last week we said that in this series, we want to shift from being driven by our circumstances to being the drivers of change. In these conversations, we're going to focus on doing the work to get back into the driver's seat and take the wheel. So before we move forward, let's get a working definition of drive, right? So drive define what we're going to be working for, or at least from the parameters of this conversation, is drive is the internal motivation to achieve a goal and the action and commitment that keeps a person moving forward even when the motivation wanes. All right. So the internal motivation to achieve a goal and the action and commitment that keeps a person moving forward even when the motivation wanes. So in this second conversation, we're going to be diving into the concept of ambition as a crucial element of drive. Now that we're all motivated and amped, let's make sure that we get the fuel to keep our fires aflame. So to start this series, just if you're excited about it, somebody type in the chat, ambitious for what? Ambitious for what?
Ooh, and that is the question for this weekend's conversation. What are you ambitious for? then this is somewhat a tricky question because unlike motivation, ambition sometimes gets a bad rep, it gets a bad reputation.
Yes.
As you know, when someone refers to an individual as ambitious, absent of tonal inference, it becomes difficult to reconcile if they mean it as a compliment or as a criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And we fear that much of the criticism is deeply steeped in the same cultural superstitions and virtue signaling that makes us uncomfortable with words like pride, selfish, desire, and pleasure. And because that's baked into the fabric of our complex identities and ideologies, is a superstitious predisposition to anything that hints towards hedonism, and not for any interrogated reason. Instead, it is only because of perceived bad juju. And that's so right, because when you hear somebody call somebody or say, oh, this person is so ambitious, or they're kind of an ambitious person, it's kind of a negative connotation.
Yeah. Like when I think of words like ambitious, I think of words like opportunistic, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you hear words like opportunistic, you think, oh, that's a bad person. And so when you think sometimes ambitious kind of carries that same connotation, but when you actually unpack these words, the words themselves don't carry those attachments that other people have attached to them.
Yeah.
Opportunistic, by its technical definition, doesn't mean anything negative. Being ambitious doesn't mean anything negative, but kind of like you said, it's these ideas, these predispositions that this is something wrong with pleasure. There's something wrong with wanting. There's something wrong with doing what's in your own best interest. There's something wrong with being selfish. There's something wrong with self-preserving. So in other words, our issues with ambition, drive, desires, and selfishness is often grounded in a superstitious aversion to the idea of an individual defining and pursuing what turns them on or what gives them pleasure. Because it kind of becomes like, oh, but because you're pursuing something that you really want, you know what I'm saying? That's too ambitious. Because you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there, like for whatever reason, that whatever it takes thing is uncomfortable for people.
Yeah,
sometimes.
and have you ever heard someone tell somebody, why you want too much? He want too much.
Yeah.
Why you want so much? You shouldn't want all that. You should keep your head down.
Yes.
And it's like,
what? Man? Well, see, it's because our ideals of pleasure are still attached to ideals of sin in many cases. Our presumption of pleasure is often an assumption of evil. You know what I'm saying? So even when we hear words like pleasure, we still think evil or wicked. Even if what a person is pursuing is not inherently evil, we'll still look for ways to say either that they want it too much, idolatry, or they want it for the wrong reasons, lust, greed, pride, vanity, i.e. pleasure. And do you see how much of this isn't based in any form of actual critical engagement, but is mostly just a knee-jerk reaction to the appearance of evil or playing against the seven deadly sins? And so it's these things that are literally like cognitive knee-jerk reactions, pride, bad. There are people who still wrestle with finding some type of healthy sense of esteem for themselves because they still have this attachment that something about having pride in myself is sinful. And to have that ideology, it doesn't exist outside of superstitious theology.
wow. And I like something that Dale had said. He pointed out we have survived by as a species by being opportunistic.
That's right. Absolutely. That is beautifully said. Beautifully said. Hey, what's up, fam? Man.
Appreciate you. And that's why we wanted to start the conversation here, because before we begin even talking about or talking through ambition, we have to acknowledge the attached superstitions that and the hangups that has been created.
Yeah.
So to help platform this properly, let's highlight 3 areas that we can pick from to work on our ambitions. And so in the spirit of ambitious for what, either of these areas can represent the what.
Yes.
1, personal growth.
Yes.
Second, professional development. And thirdly, community building. And I love that because it puts a focus on not just you, oh, I'm getting something as in what people see as greed, but oh, I'm getting better to be valuable or invaluable in society. And so all three of those are necessary. And that's why I like this point. Ambition is necessary for sustainable effort.
Yes. Ambition is necessary for sustainable effort. But you know, just hearing those, and even looking at them on my screen, personal growth, professional development, community building. I've always been passionate about community building, right? And this is very interesting. See, I took a reverse approach. I've always been passionate about community building. That's why I became a pastor, because building community was just made sense, right? Yeah. It took me probably a decade of being in ministry to get ambitious about professional development.
I can see that. Okay. And I can see, I would say that for the both of us, because me, I can see how much and focus on personal growth, and that's what competition and training and athletic.
But see, now watch that's where the dividing line came for me. I didn't get ambitious about personal growth until I left the ministry. Wow. I didn't get ambitious about personal growth until I left the theology. Wow. And then I had to work myself back through and my ambitions for professional development.
And that would make sense because you spend a lot of time when you're going to church services or even as a preacher, you spend a lot of time putting yourself down and lifting someone else up that you don't see.
Yes.
Or you have to have faith. You got to believe the whole time while you're still unsure.
Okay.
And so I can see how
Now, but see, that's good because you said you got to lift somebody else up while pushing yourself down. And that goes back to the video I released earlier this week about how some scriptures are very harmful, even these New Testament scriptures. And one of them, it is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me, or I must decrease so that he must increase. Yeah. And this goes back to why we have these superstitious attachments to words like pride and desire and pleasure and ambition. Yes, more of you and less of me. Those type of things, because now we've identified anything that I wanted that was outside of what this Christian cult told me to want is automatically evil. Right. And so now, because you've had to train yourself to feel that way about yourself, in order to keep yourself trapped there, you have to train yourself to see others that way too. Because if I look at you and say you have the freedom to do that, then I'm gonna have a whole bunch of dissonance of why the fuck I ain't got that freedom then.
Yeah, and so if someone takes the credit for their own growth, their own accolades, then it becomes evil. Or they agree, they're too ambitious, and you can see how they will look at that as negative.
Absolutely.
It's you.
You always saying you did it.
You acknowledge my God.
You know. Okay, see, now that just reminded me of a story. This is a little rabbit trail, but I had a friend reach out to me this morning from high school. I have not talked to her in years. She's a lesbian, the male side of the lesbian. That's not how you say that, right? Yeah, but see, the only word that came in my mind was a word that I know is not appropriate, so I didn't want to say that one. That might be the word. That's not the word that was in my mind. Okay, I don't know, like, because all of my words come from people who were not very amenable to those cultures, so they're not nice words. And so, like, when they pop up in my mind, I try to think about it. But she reached out to me this morning and she said, "Okay, so like, I remember you when you were in high school. You were like on fire for the Lord, and now I'm watching these videos of you now." And she just is like, I want to know like what happened, and so. Immediately, and this is what I love about coming from the popular preaching side, because we can think of so many different types of anecdotes and analogies to use. Yeah. There was a movie called Euro Trip, and if any of you have ever seen it, like the most famous song that came out of that movie was "Scotty Doesn't Know." Don't tell Scotty, So even if you ain't seen the movie, maybe you've heard Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me does it in my band every Sunday. She's in church, but she doesn't go. Says she's on her knees and Scotty doesn't know. Okay, but anyway, just an amazing song. And it's Matt Damon acting that part out, but I don't know if he's actually singing it, but I do want to know that. But anyway, there's a point in there where Scotty, the main character, is describing a moment where he's trying to sit down and watch some traditional guy on gal porn. And he's sitting there and he's watching it and he's all ready to watch it. He has all of his stuff ready and he's all excited and he's engaged. He's fully invested in this moment. And he realized he's 45 minutes in and the girls never come. The girls never show up.
Oh.
It's just guy on guy action. And so now he feels so horrible and traumatized. So I told her that was my experience. Just like Scotty, I was fully invested. I was ready. I had everything ready. I was involved. I was excited. I was energized. I was aroused, but God never showed up.
Wow, that's a
I told you, hey, look, hey, preachers can make it do what it do. God never showed up. I was excited. I was ready, but and she was like, damn, that was good, you know? And so I don't know what led me to that rabbit trail, but I had to come back to that one.
Yes, Kurt. Awesome analogy. And that's where the move from was like, okay, we can see just based off history, there's no external God. So the next move, at least for me, was God is in me. I am all the power.
I wonder how many of y'all went through that phase to where it moved from God out there to God in me to eventually just like, oh, okay, just God is irrelevant altogether. But you know, I'm curious because that was definitely a part of my, you know, God was in me. I think I went through a period where I was like, I am God, you know. But anyway,
that's why not for some people, instead of just flat out just being like, there is no God. Why are you sitting there worshiping somebody? Get off your knees. If you just say, man, okay, yeah, God is love because God is in me and I am love. I am kind. I am patient. You know, you work it.
See, I like that. I like that. But we just have to find any evidence of a God that's actually ever been any of those things.
You gotta find, and then that becomes move to the conversation of spirit, because you know you have those metaphysical kind of like, I just look at them as motivational speakers too, but where they talk about spirit and soul, and it's still not clearly defined, but you got some who move from talking about the external God to talking about, no, you have a soul and you have spirits within you, and they talk as if they know what it is, but it hasn't necessarily been.
You know, and that's why a major part of what we do here is building community beyond superstition, because that becomes the temptation, right? Is to take this big ass question mark that you had called God and then try to make it tiny little more question marks instead of like the biggest, like for me, you know, just for me, y'all. The biggest thing for me was after it was this. I realized that I never had a reason to attach myself to the beliefs in the first place. And so that's the challenge that people have with me today. They say, well, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, well, you can do whataboutisms all day, but I'm actually going to need a reason to attach my belief to it. And y'all know I've become very much, more like God is everywhere and everything. Moving from pantheism to omniism, where God is in everything, to pantheism, God is in everything. Omniism, God is all things. And that was definitely where I was for a while. I did describe myself, even as an atheist, I described myself as an omnideist, because it was my way of, like, honestly, y'all, I was earnestly searching for a way to be able to have the conversation to help make this transition more palatable for people. I used to say we were looking for a way to symphonize spirit and science, you know, and then I was just like, but the problem is every word in that sentence is understood except spirit, you know, unless you define it by some terms that I define it by, which people are sometimes unsatisfied with that. But for me, when people, as of yet, anytime someone's described something as spiritual, it has always been emotional or psychological or sociological or neurological. I've never seen it outside of those domains. And then honestly, if it happens outside of those domains, neither would they. If it happens outside of those domains, you don't even know it's happening. And so like that's just the math. All right, I'm done. I'm done.
So motivation without the accompaniment of ambition will consistently result in false starts.
Yes.
Been in so many false starts even till this day, gotta like, come on,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
it's those a continuous process. But we'll get excited, we'll get prepared for the ride, but without fuel in the vehicle, we won't get very far. I think most of us have been impacted by this, right?
Mhm.
So let us know if you've been on that journey before, and who hasn't signed up for a course that they didn't finish. In majority of those cases, the missing ingredient was ambition. So let's get some insight into what ambition is and how it impacts our drive. Drive, not
Drive. That's right. We said it.
So ambition is often referred to as a goal with driving energy behind it.
Mhm.
It may be referred to when the stakes are high or the rewards are often associated with success. It can also help people face new challenges and develop a growth mindset.
And that I think growth mindset is one of those things that I've low key became obsessed with. There's a few things, but growth mindset, that was one of, and that's a part of my like childishness, right? I always talk about other people's childishness. I'll talk a little bit about mine. I'm always surprised at how many atheists and humanists I meet who don't have a growth mindset. It'd be like, I'd be like, oh, really? And not in a way that like I'm upset or something, because everybody has the right to be on their own journey. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't control that for anybody, but I'm always shocked by it because that was one of like the biggest, if I could say this word, that was one of the biggest blessings for me of my atheism, is that now my personal development isn't confined to anybody else's limitations.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That I no longer like I immediately and maybe it's because I was deconstructing for 2 decades. So once I deconverted, I immediately let go of an attachment to these ideas such as ego being bad, pride being bad, wanting stuff being bad. All of those things for me like fell out of the sky. Just look, like the windows of heaven just opened up and poured out a blessing that I didn't have room enough to receive, because it was like everything that I had been running from, everything that I had been trying to protect myself from as a believer, were all of those things that I now wanted. Like I'm like, no, give me back. This is me. That's what I wanted. And so I stopped, like immediately I became more ambitious, more hungry, more thirsty for knowledge, primarily because I realized how much I had robbed myself of.
Yeah. Well, I think it helped that you used to say a lot. You got rid of bad words. There are no good words and bad words.
Yeah.
Just words.
It's words, man. Magical words.
Yeah.
But because that goes so many ways. Like when you teach your children because like we teach our children magical words. We don't just teach them curse words. We teach them other words too. So like the cuss words, we teach, these words have extra power, cuss words, blah, blah, blah. But then we also teach other type of magical words like please and thank you. And you don't think that's problematic until you watch some adult get absolutely flabbergasted when somebody didn't say thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, baby, those words don't have no power like that. Yeah. Or if you've ever seen somebody who literally thinks that because they said please, that these other people are supposed to bow down and do whatever. And they're like, I said please. I said please. Like they're in complete bewilderment because we don't understand the consequences of teaching people who are already predisposed to magical thinking concepts such as magical words. Okay, let's take that rabbit hole a step further. Because then when you have a predisposition for believing in magical words, then you will also ignore people's behavior in deference to their magical words.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we even showed this like in a lot of our romance stuff. Like our romance, I know he's a dog, but damn, he just spit that game so good. Bitches, you stupid. Don't do that. Leave that motherfucker alone.
With anointing. It's like I've seen people who call people, he's a great father because he's anointed. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's the anointing that's making him a great father.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, or if someone who is deemed anointed does something horrible, they get a pass because don't touch the anointed.
That's right.
And so you can't give any reprimand.
Don't touch the man of God. Don't touch the what is it? Touch not my anointed, do my prophets no harm. Like, well, fuck your prophets, okay? They fuck with me, I'm gonna have to fuck with them. It's gonna be baseball bats, pit bulls, and bullets. You understand? Okay, that's another side of me. Y'all don't need to know him yet. Y'all don't need. Now let me stop. All right, so but this is really good. This is really good. A growth mindset became major for me. I think this is one of the reasons I can get so much stuff done now. I've written and published 5 books since then. I've created music. I've written plays. I've obviously do a little YouTube channel. I created websites. We started a school for a while. Like because I ain't trying to impress nobody. I'm trying to see what's in me.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to figure out what I've been sleeping on all of this time. So this is why I don't allow other people to check my ambition. My ambition ain't for you. Oh man, like see that's because y'all already know real quick. I check people on shit like that. You can't live vicariously through me. So it's like, oh, you being too ambitious. Well, that's good that my ambition isn't for you. That means it's great that my ambition is for me, and you really don't want to drag me in that conversation because you will likely feel that I'm being condescending if I take you down through that.
And I like that comment, the waiting. This is another thing that still you gotta wait on God.
Yes.
And you're sitting there waiting for a long
man. Seen it and experienced it. Yes, sir. Felt like I couldn't make a move, because someone said, "Are you sure? Is it in God's timing? Mm-hmm. Is the timing right?" And that thing is so insidious that it's even crept over into business circles now, where people at business meetings are talking about you got to make sure the timing is right. And I'm like, oh no, that's not how that shit works. It's target. Forget timing. It's target. And I could have a whole conversation about that.
That's good.
Man. Oh, this is good. Okay. So if you have energy but do not have specific goals, you may not know where to put your force and your effort. If you have goals but lack energy, you might remain stagnant and not take chances. Okay, so hold up. So you can have the goals but not the energy.
And not the energy.
Right? So let's talk, and because that's really what we've been talking about. Many of the reasons we can't get the energy is because of these superstitious attachments that I might be doing the wrong thing. Okay, let me go ahead and free you real quick. Yeah, you might be. All of us are figuring this shit out. We're just a bunch of apes on a floating rock in the middle of nowhere. 9 times out of 10, the button you press is going to be the wrong button, but you're not going to find out which button is the right button until you press enough of them motherfuckers. You got to do it. So if you have the goals, but you lack the energy, you remain stagnant. But one of the reasons you lack the energy is because you're uncomfortable with being okay with yourself. And so it's like, well, I have to feel that other people are going to say that this is what I should be doing. I have to feel that other people think that this is what my ambition should be attached to. I have to think that, and it's like, no, get that shit out of your head. Your ambition is for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, like that energy comes from a place of knowing that, and this goes back to last week. What was motivation about? Motivation was about fidelity, figuring out who I am. Who am I? What do I want? Why do I want it? Fuck everybody else. No, just who am I? Like I'll get back to y'all in a minute. And that kind of takes me back to what we were talking about earlier. You said personal development, professional development, community building. I went backwards. I went community building, professional development, and personal development. That's why, as even all of the good stuff that I was doing in community building, because I didn't preface myself, because I did not prioritize myself, it did them no good nor me any good.
See, you preaching now. That goes back to what y'all always talk about. You got to fill your cup.
You got to fill your cup first. That's it. I've flown this year more than I've flown my entire life. And every flight I've been on, they say, hey, if we get into a situation, put your own damn mask on first. You cannot help anybody else. And so like most people who have an ambition problem have a problem putting themselves first. That is so uncomfortable. It is so unnatural. It is so averse to everything you've been told. Goodness, that even trying to find yourself again is a challenge. This is so good, man. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So good. They were going in on it.
Put your mask on first. Like that's the man. Like I that's the best way that I can be a good father. That's the best way that I can be a good husband. That's the best way that I can be a good partner. Like I had friends that I was helping them get their shit together, and my shit wasn't together.
But, been there plenty of times. But you know what? It's easy to see when you, in the general, when you're talking with just anyone, have them picture a doctor, your doctor, and you are preparing for surgery, and your doctor is sick, your doctor is shaking, they are not well, and they trying to make your cut and get you surgery. You're gonna be like, oh, you need to get back.
Give me 50 feet, homie. You know,
give me somebody else. It's easier to think when you think of everyday situations. Would you want a doctor who isn't well doing surgery on you?
Oh, okay. So now wait a minute, because that just gave me something. That means, okay, now, because what she said, you imagine, would you want a doctor working on you who is not well, right?
Yeah.
And the reason you would not want that doctor working on you actually isn't just about you. It's about how much you value that doctor. All right, okay. So the reason you wouldn't want the doctor working on anybody when they're unwell is because you value the doctor's work.
Right.
The reason you're okay with working on other people when you're unwell is because you don't value your work. You see, come on, ain't it good? It's good, man. It's good. You don't value what you bring to the table. So you're like, look, it's not going to be great today, but it is what it is. You're going to get what you're going to get. So, you know, like, I don't have to take care of me. If I lose in this, just as long as you all are okay, then everything. And it's like, oh no, I value the role that I play in this. So I need to be here too.
But that's so good, because when you start to value yourself, you'll stop taking emotional abuse. You'll stop taking emotional abuse from your pastor, from your family, from your mama, from your dad. You say, hey, to converse with me, you're gonna have to be well. So go get well.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. To converse with me, you're going to have to be well. Before we even continue this conversation, I need you to put your oxygen mask on, please.
Come on.
Oh my goodness, that is good. That is a whole nother level of accountability, but that's definitely the way. I know that's the way we've been living as of late, with family, with friends, with like, hey, like oh man, and that's such another, because I used to be on the other end of the spectrum, where it was just like everybody's gonna be unwell around me, and I'm just gonna take it, and they're gonna abuse me, and please tell me if I'm not the only one, where you're always so mindful of other people's conditions that you don't even give thought, like damn, I got a right to be disturbed by this shit too. I'm always mindful, like, oh, this may hurt their feelings, or this may make them feel some type of, or this may make them think. And then you start realizing, like, well, damn, they don't feel that way about me.
And you know what else I used to say to myself? I can take it. I could deal with it. I could.
Yes.
And so I'm going to give you love. I'm going to be very kind. And then while I'm just taking it, you know?
Man. Oh, my goodness. Oh, this is so good. Ooh. Okay. All right. Wow. And I mean, I was still in the middle. So ambition can combine energy with goals to create constant forward motion. And so let me give you a few of my goals to kind of use as an example. Which are found right in the mission statement of DLDD World Group. And so this kind of walks you down, like, okay, you will see my ambition, and you'll see the goals behind that ambition, and and then you'll kind of see where I'm getting this energy from, right? Yeah. So, and then of course because you've gotten some insight into me, into the way that I think, into how I view my deconversion experience. Like, my deconversion experience was damn near a religious one, man. It was just like, I was born again. And it was like, oh, thank God. But it was more than that, you know, and I say it like that, just almost like in the sense of the Matrix, you know, but it was more than that. It was like, imagine holding on to something for so long that's hurting the
Wow.
fuck out of you.
Yeah.
And then you finally realize, like, oh shit, there's no fucking reason for me to hold on to this. And you've been holding on to it for 28 years.
Yeah.
And then that day you just let it go. And it's just like, oh, okay, fuck that shit. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. All right. So,
Thank you.
yes. Yay. Oh, I love y'all, man. Yes. Lack of self-value. That's it. So the mission statement of DLDD World Group is to create a global hub of authentic leadership. I know we don't talk about DLDD a lot, but you'll see why I'm starting with DLDD World Group and not the Bridge. But watch. To create a global hub of authentic leadership, to empower communities to maximize opportunities and modify outcomes, and to drive social elevation and global change. That is our nonprofit organization. I'm DL, she's DD. This is the World Group. Hello. All right. So those are the three pillars of the mission statement for DLDD World Group. Now, remember, this conversation is still about ambition. So what am I doing in regards to those? Well, so to create a global hub of authentic leadership, one of the goals or one of the programs that we've built is the Bridge. And the goal of the Bridge is to identify, train, and support leaders and leadership teams who are committed to building autonomous but affiliated secular communities, wherever they are. So obviously you hear me constantly talking about it, telling people, hey, I want to get you excited. I want you to start it. We're going to build those networks. Why? Because that ties into this other mission of building a global hub of authentic leadership. All right. So it's the empower communities to maximize opportunities and modify outcomes that I really want to hit and drill down on, because that's where BridgeCity Global comes in at, which is the work we're doing now. The goal, the mission of BridgeCity Global is to build community beyond superstition. That is people-centric, progressive thinking, and life-affirming. All right. So this mission, because BridgeCity Global is a part of DLDD World Group, DLDD World Group had that primary pillar missionary statement, empower communities. We want to empower communities. Broke that down into a smaller goal. How do we do that? Well, we need to start by building community beyond superstition and then create values around that community that where we want to be a better way to connect. So, well, what do I do next then in order to actually be able to build community beyond superstition so that we can empower communities? I need to host weekly sessions where people can connect, contribute, and collaborate in conversations. All right. But then in order for us to host weekly sessions that helps us build community beyond superstition, that helps us empower communities to maximize opportunities, that helps us create a global hub of authentic leadership, I have to prepare creative and relevant guided conversations every week.
Yeah.
Okay. So my energy comes from understanding how I've broken those goals down and how each goal, and you can trace this back for the past few years, is how I am constantly looking at the variables and how the goals. And so like there were times when I was writing stuff and working on stuff and people were like, why is he doing that? That's just a waste of time. Ain't nobody gonna see that. And I'd always be like, oh, it ain't for you. This is for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, even if nobody sees this, even if nobody ever comes to terms with any of this, the work that I am putting in is teaching me something.
Come on, that should have been the title. This is for me.
This is for me. I was like, so yeah, I guess that's the answer. Ambitious for what? For me, damn it. That's what it is. I'm ambitious for me. And like, that's the freedom, right? Yeah. All right. And then of course, drive social elevation and global change, which that's the DL part of DLDD World Group. My whole thing is when I'm in the other room, you'll see it behind me, do the work. Do it right. Do your best and do the most.
Gonna stay at work everywhere.
That's it. That's it. It's just like, because, honestly, that was so much of my problem. Now, I can't talk about nobody else. So I'm just going to tell you my problem. My problem was I was afraid of doing the work because I thought that the work needed the approval of the crowd. And so if I started working and the crowd didn't show up, I would stop working.
Come on.
I thought the work required the approval of my peers. Wow. And so if I started working and nobody was patting me on my back, I would eventually stop working. And then eventually I had to realize, and again, you said it, like I guess that is the theme of today's message. This is for me. I'm not like, I had to get comfortable with being selfish. And in the sense of like, no, I don't want to help change the world just because I want the world to change. I want to help change the world because I want to live in a better world. This is this is the reason why the work is for me. So if the crowd doesn't show up, if nobody pats me on my back, if nobody says, good job, bro, I don't give a damn. This is about me. I'm going to do the work. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to do the most. Why? Because I need that. Because if I get to the end and it doesn't work, I'll know that it won't be because of me. If I get to the end and it still didn't become what it was supposed to become, I'll know it wasn't my fault because your boy did the work. He did it right. He did his best, and he did the most. I feel good.
Come on.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I love it. I love it. So the big point here is because I have a solid grasp on my goals, I know where to direct my energy. I know where to direct my energy. And this often aggravates other people, right? Oh my goodness. It's going to aggravate the hell out of other people because I'm different than who I used to be. Who I used to be, I just do whatever people wanted me to do. Now I have to understand how this connects to the goals that I'm trying to get, the goals that I'm trying to reach. Not because I'm trying to be disrespectful, but this is my version of putting my mask on first. Because I know, and like some of this, I love it. Some of this is from that, that old preaching, that old preaching aspect, that old pastoral aspect. It's like, no, there's impact that I'm trying to make on this world. Yeah. And if I slow down just to play nice, somebody who needs what I'm really trying to get out there, they're going to be, they're going to be slowed down just a little while longer. And I can't afford that.
And that's so good because sometimes in church we experience, like, even when you're just on the dance team or performing arts team and you have an outfit on that maybe it's short sleeve, it's just showing a little bit of arm, and they're like, oh no, you can kind of get discouraged by what people say, when get discouraged by what you preach. But when you realize, like, oh, I'm not just doing this for you, I don't need your approval. Because at some point you may have stopped. Like, I've definitely been there where I stopped doing something or I got discouraged.
Oh, that's so
like,
good.
Okay, I'm not gonna move forward, even though I know it would benefit other people.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, well, somebody said this, but when you're on this side, you understand. No, I know my end. I know the end goal.
That's it.
And so no matter what you say, you can just say funny stuff. You can try to curse me out. Whatever the case is, I'm going to keep going.
That's it. I'm the little engine that could. Because this is about me.
Because you wearing the armor of Darante.
That's right. Hallelujah. Okay. Put on my own damn armor. Shit. Now let me stop. No, but that's beautiful. And that's a very, very valid point. Of that, because so many people do experience that in church, and again, this is one of the reasons I'm telling secular community, let's build shit that's better than church, because you got people who have these wonderful talents, these wonderful gifts, and some of them go through church, survive, and become great things, but the vast majority of them get so crippled and damaged in church by church behavior that they never even get comfortable in their own artistry. They always feel like their artistry has to be trapped into what other people think, or you end up creating some foul monster like a Kim Burrell. Yikes. Her behavior has just been atrocious lately, man.
Yeah.
I bet you she's a Trump supporter. Let me stop. All right. So as a community developer, my motivation, which we've kind of defined as desire to do, is grounded in an understanding of the risks, rewards, and reasons. But my ambition, which is the willingness to act. All right. And then let's go back to the beginning where we talked about opportunistic and ambitious and why these words have such a negative connotation, because we are uncomfortable with this idea of willingness to act. And I think we kind of talked about it earlier. Like, the most dangerous words that Malcolm X ever uttered was by any means necessary. These are the moments that scared the hell out of everybody right there, because at that moment that revealed his ambition, that I am willing to act, that I am willing to do what is necessary. But let's go back further. So I gave one of my heroes, I'll give one of America's heroes, Patrick Henry. The most dangerous words he ever said was, give me liberty or give me death. What he is telling you that his desire to do has been upgraded to a willingness to act. This is so good. All right. So standing on business, right? Standing on business. So while my motivation comes from my desire to do, my ambition really comes from that willingness to act, which comes from the trust building exercise of assigning goals and then building plans around those goals and then doing the work to learn how to trust yourself and going through that plan. So I've been motivated since 2014. Like I've been building plans since 2014. 2014, there was Truth Nation, there was Wind and Window Shop, which Wind and Window Shop we've kept. Truth Nation evolved and Together We Can, Empower with Style we kept. So I've been motivated since 2014, talking to people, working with people, but I didn't tap into the ambition aspect of my personal drive until I was willing to affirm my capacity to be the catalyst for my goals. Because even in 2014, as a full-blown atheist, my idea, like, oh man, and she's my witness, I felt so uncomfortable with myself that I was unwilling to craft the plan. So from 2014 to 2017, and then a little bit into 2020, my goal was, we just need enough heads at the table, and then we'll craft the plan, because I don't want people to think I'm being selfish if I craft the plan. I don't want people to think the plan is about my pride. I don't want people to think the plan is about my ego. So I was so averse to that, and again, that's an ambition issue, right? Because at that moment, I'm putting other people's thoughts, which I don't even know if they have these thoughts. You know what I'm saying? But I'm putting my perception of other people's thoughts over what I believe is the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So then my strategy was like, I'm already convinced, but I'm not going to work until I can convince you to help me.
And that can take.
Oh, that's a bad strategy. Took a long time. Like, no. So now I realize, like, oh no, I'm doing the work because I do this because this is how I breathe. This is how I put my mask on. So every time you see me producing this content and staying on it Monday through Friday and showing up every Sunday and showing up every Wednesday, just know this ain't for you. This is for me. This is how I breathe. This is how I put my mask on. This is how I make sure that I am living my life. I'm doing this because I like to do this. I'm doing this because this gives me joy. And I will be 100% real with you. The moment that it stops, I will cut this bitch like a cancer, because I prioritize myself in that way now. But it's only because I know that's the only way I'm any good to anybody else.
That is such good meat, because you just said you prioritize yourself. And even for those who are mothers, who are fathers, who are caretakers, it is okay to prioritize yourself with the understanding of your responsibility. And so I think people have a thing, well, if you only worry about yourself, you ain't worry about anyone else. And it's like, no.
Like, watch this. Myself only matters because there's other people. Like, if there was nobody else, then myself wouldn't even matter. Myself only matters because there are other people. That's why it matters. It matters because you want me to show up to work with my best self. It matters because you want me to love these children that I've brought into this world. It matters because you don't want me harming other people around me. So if you don't want me hurting motherfuckers, can I make sure that I'm not hurt? Please.
Come on.
Hey.
Y'all know saying hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people, hurt people. That's right. Oh dang! Now Kanada just took me back to Arrested Development, where the mother was with her therapist, and he said, hurt people, hurt people. And she says, I like that. I've always said make people cry, but this says it quicker, But no, that's absolutely right. But my mindset, and this is how I knew I was shifting into a place of ambition for me, is my mindset shifted from how can they help to what can I do if nobody helps?
What can I do? That's good.
What can I do if nobody helps? Yeah. And that's a way of where you really figure out if it's important to you or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you say, well, if nobody helps, I'm probably not going to do it, then it probably don't mean that much to you anyway. It's probably, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I think one of the most freeing things you can do is get rid of other people's expectations and ambitions. If it's not something you honestly feel like you should be doing, you're never going to have the energy to be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
You're always going to feel drained. You're always going to feel tired. It's always going to piss you off. And not even a sense, because there are things that piss me off that energize me, but it's going to piss you off. Like work pisses me off and it does not energize me right now. You know what I'm saying? But there are other things that piss me off that absolutely energize me, that puts me in a place of conflict and tension that makes me want to resolve those challenges. But I definitely advocate for people, like, make sure, again, ambitious for what? It needs to be for you. You know, whatever you're ambitious about. So you kind of know, like, I'm ambitious about a lot of shit. Like, please don't try to mirror your ambitions about like mine. Like, I wasted time. Maybe you didn't waste time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you've been kind of going through life at a good pace. Enjoy your route. But as for me and my house, no, I'm just playing. All right, I think my part is over.
Serve ourselves.
Serve, right? You better. You better. Like we teach our kids, you better go in there and get yourself something to eat now. All of them know how to cook. Better serve yourself.
We started teaching how to cook at 2 years old.
No, don't you sit here and be starving because somebody don't cook for you. You better get in there and get something. Or get satisfied with sandwiches. Now let me stop.
Spaghetti, everything.
It's some spaghetti in there. Oh, I love our community, man.
Good. So, in a recent conversation with Ferris Lawton, CEO of Axe Hedge, he explained ambitious people are willing to put in the work or find the tools that will allow them to reach their goals. And I love that.
Yes.
You can get right into putting the work or find the tools.
Yep. Okay, because what that made me think of, and this goes back to something I think Muttley mentioned earlier, which is so important when talking about ambition. Because sometimes when we talk about ambition, we talk about what we sometimes call lofty goals, you know. Yeah. So someone would look at me and say, I'm ambitious because of the things that I'm doing, you know, in community and stuff like that, or on the channel. But then you look at somebody else who doesn't seem to be that active and you say, oh, that person has no ambition at all. Yeah. And that's an improper measurement. Yeah. Because that person may be attaching their ambition to something differently. Yeah. Because something different is important to them. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So like one thing that I've always been fascinated with gamers and hobbyists is that they can get so ambitious about their gaming and their hobbies that not only will they master what they can do with their hands, they'll have firsthand knowledge of the latest tools that are out, the latest platforms that are out, the latest upgrades that are out. That's ambition. You know what I'm saying? My goodness.
Thank you, Kurt. We appreciate
what is that? Man, thank you, sir. Like, wow, that is beautiful. That is beautiful. Y'all gonna make me cry. Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So they know that much of their growth is dependent on their own efforts. So they're always watchful for opportunities that will help them reach new heights, right? And we're talking about ambitious people here. Yeah. They aren't content with the status quo, and this enables them to accomplish so much more in the long run. And that's what it is, because some people are comfortable, right, with this or that. All I need is just this little bit, and that's fine. You're going to have people at different levels, right? Okay. And it's like, what level you want to be on? What shelf you want to be on?
That's good, because like I know, like that's one of the things. That's another thing that I got. You know, I call it the blessing of atheism for me, is that I realized, like, no, I got a right to be uncontent. I have a right to be uncomfortable with this. I have a right to not like the way things are going, because it used to be before that, you know, like, oh, that's beautiful. Yes. It used to be like before, like if you tried to complain about something, well, who are you to complain? God done giving you all of this and count your blessings, not your stuff. And it's like, wait a minute, God damn it. If I don't like it, let me say I don't like it. Because it's that discomfort with it that will push me to want to do something about it.
And that I don't know if it's in the video or some other notes when we talk about discomfort. Nothing will change, or we won't change anything until we get uncomfortable. We're so uncomfortable. We're so like, okay, I'm done. That's when you get on the move, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. And so ambition has been interpreted as the resolute culmination of a bold personal decision. It can be characterized as a drive or a good that makes the person with ambitions uncomfortable until they have realized their goals.
Yes. Okay. All right. So what is your bold personal decision? So like now I got mine, right? Because I wrote it out in a poem. And the poem is called I'm Taking My Seat. And I either wrote this last year or the year before last. I don't remember which one. But it's called I'm Taking My Seat. And I wanted to make this a part of an anthology of poems called Fuck It, I'll Do It Myself.
I'll do it myself.
That was my bold personal decision. So I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna share this with y'all. Let me Biggie size it first. Because I have elder eyes, as I like to say. You know. All right, so this is I'm just giving y'all a little insight into my bold personal decision and just how it manifested in the art form. So I'm getting naked so nobody else has to. All right. This is my bold personal decision. All right. Excuse me as I take my seat. I am sitting in who I am, not waiting to be. I've done the inner work. I've steadied my feet. And though I've stumbled at times, I've never lost my seat. I just wasn't ready to sit. I didn't have the line of sight. I wasn't ready for all of this. For me, it just didn't seem right. For surely there were others who were more qualified than I, better born and better raised, better suited for the right. But in all this time, not one of them came. And because I wouldn't dare, empty the seat remained, unoccupied and unattended, like a crown lost in the rubble. And only I was discontented until I had gone through all the trouble to satisfy my security, establish my qualifying identity as the undisputed person I need to be, so that I can say confidently, excuse me as I take my seat. I am sitting in who I am, not waiting to be.
I love that. Come on now.
You know, that's right. That's right. But that was my bold personal decision, that I am sitting in who I am. I am no longer waiting to be something, because and I think someone mentioned that in the chat earlier. I was waiting to be who God wanted me to be, or who other people in God thought that I should be. And at that, and because of that, I spent my whole life uncomfortable, just really sitting down in me. And so my bold personal decision was, I am taking my seat. I'm no longer waiting to be. I'm just sitting in who I am. And I decide I kind of like me. This is it.
That's the whole thing. Right?
I am ambitious. I can be a little arrogant to some people. It don't even bother me at all now. Like it don't bother me at all. I'm passionate. I am disciplined. I am determined. I am headstrong like a motherfucker. But I love every part of this about me. Like I love my human experience. And so I'm sitting in who I am. That's why, the work that you see me doing on this channel, this is me sitting in my seat. This is me taking my seat. I'm taking my seat. I am sitting in who I am, not waiting to be. And honestly, anybody who treats me like I'm waiting to be gets dismissed real easily. Oh, no, you didn't recognize? No. I'm not going to be this in a few years. I'm this now. Y'all miss that, man. Listen, that's the way I view my life now. I used to give people a pass for not treating me today like I would want them to treat me in the future. But now I'm like, if you can't treat me right today, you don't deserve a space in my future.
Now, you know what?
How you gonna fumble at me?
That's why I like one thing Lisa Nichols said, when people say, oh, you shining too bright. Oh, you're doing too much. She said, oh, no, go ahead and give them some shade.
I'm telling you, you better put on some shades, because I'm not gonna stop shining for you. I'm sorry. No, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. All right. So Abraham Maslow proposed a hierarchy of needs, which we've talked about a few times, with self-actualization at the top. Now we're not gonna go through the hierarchy. I like mentioning Maslow. I don't like always going through Maslow stuff because I don't necessarily identify with his hierarchy.
Yeah.
But he defines self-actualization as the desire to become more and more what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. In other words, self-actualization is the ambition to become a better version of oneself, to become everything one is capable of being. Now, I've been low-key obsessed with this idea since it was first introduced to me. And for me, this has become part of my bold personal decision. It's the reason I refer to myself as hyper-productive, because honestly, it's not about pleasing anybody else. It's about expanding in my own capacity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out just how much more is in me that I've been sleeping on. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's really the fuel that drives that drives me.
In your tank?
How much gas is in my tank? You know what I'm saying? Which brings me to this next point, and that is self-efficacy is the prerequisite for ambition. And I'll let you take it from here.
Let me take the wheel. So actualization is on this other side of the drive, but efficacy is necessary from day one.
Mm-hmm.
If your self-efficacy is in need of repair, your ambition will feel lacking. And so let's go ahead and dive a little bit more into what is self-efficacy.
Yeah.
And so it is a person's belief in their ability to succeed. A person's belief in their ability to perform tasks and achieve goals is a measure of how confident someone is in their ability to control their behavior, motivation, and social environment. And I love that because, man, it's not really taught this way. It's not the word we used to use per se growing up with self-efficacy, but it's so important to believe that you have the ability to succeed. And notice the ability to succeed doesn't mean you are already there. You already have the skills and the tools and the things needed. It's like you have to believe that you can get it.
Yeah.
You can obtain it. You have access to it, right?
Yep. And that's good because it also, because I think, man, because of so much magical thinking, when we think of believing in our ability to succeed, sometimes we add like a quantifier to that of believing in our ability to succeed the first time. And that's what most people go through. They believe they may believe that they believe that they can succeed only if they succeed the first time. And if they don't succeed the first time, it has a negative impact on their belief and their ability. But that's a part of that magical thinking where people keep telling these wonderfully fabricated and fabulated testimonies about how God did things that made no sense, and they didn't even have to qualify, and it just happened overnight. And then suddenly God did something, and you get so inundated with those type of stories that anytime something takes longer than somebody else's, suddenly you feel like you don't have what it takes. When all actuality, you're making an improper measurement based off of somebody else's purposeful misinformation.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Would you like it? I don't believe most people when they say something happened. You know what I'm saying? People get that problem because I'm a skeptic. I'm sorry, I'm a skeptic. Like I don't.
You need all the information.
Like if you because and then the harder you try to convince me, I start thinking through what is the utility of you convincing me of this? Like what do you win? And then at that moment, you
need to do a series of what's next.
Yeah, like what's next? Like, we used to talk. Dang, there was something we used to say in the house. Dang it. Oh man, it was, I wish I could remember, but we were talking about it. I don't know if it was scriptures or what, but it was this idea of like, and what's next? Okay. And then what? You know, like, oh man. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but it's like something for what? It's something we used to say.
Yeah. I know, right? So I got to go back and find it.
And so in psychology, self-efficacy is an individual's belief in their capacity to act in the ways necessary to reach specific goals. If you don't understand that you have the capacity to do, you will struggle to find the energy to do.
Yep. And
that makes it, because it's like, why waste my time?
Yeah. Yes. It's like the inverse of the sunken cost fallacy, where it's just like, why would I put time in that if I know I'm not going to make it?
Right.
And this is something that especially, often we want to say inner city youth, but it's really just poor youth, period. This is a real thing that they get inundated with, where they do have to wrestle with that. And that's something that I think through and try to talk through quite a bit. Is one of the greatest things you can do especially for children who are struggling and who are bright, because it's something I wish my educators would have done for me, is remind them of their capacity, that no matter how ugly this world is, you could be Alexander the Great. Yeah. Don't be Alexander the Great because he sucked, but
yeah.
You could be the bastard that changed the world, because Alexander the Great was a bastard. That's what I said.
Well, first we have to stop killing the curiosity.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And because
that
curiosity.
You need that curiosity to even explore your capacity. Mm-hmm. Wow, yikes, that's good. That's good. So we talk about curiosity so often when it comes to cognitive development and academic success, making sure we're supporting and platforming our children and our students' curiosity. But man, I don't know if I've ever thought about the importance of curiosity in efficacy. I don't know if I've ever thought about because it's trust building.
Yeah.
You're being curious about something is you're forming an informal hypothesis. And then acting on that curiosity is you are testing that hypothesis. Right. Exactly. And depending on what you get from the results from that gives you some positive feedback. Yeah, that's good stuff. Wow. All right. That's something to think about right there.
Yes. And so this is one of our long-standing issues with the motivational speaking racket.
Yes.
And those who claim to be masters at getting people motivated while doing very little work in the realm of self-fidelity and self-efficacy.
Yep. I don't believe in shortcuts. Like I despise a shortcut, especially when you're paying when you charging $1,200 to $1,500 for it. You know what I'm saying? Come here. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to change your life. I don't like stuff like that. I am incredibly averse to it. It gets under my skins. It grinds my gears. Creflo's my dollars. TD's my Jakes. Juanita's my Bynums. Paula's my Whites. All of that shit. Kenneth's my Copelands. Now that's the bad one. If it's Kenneth and my Copeland, it's a bad damn day. But no, it's always been an issue for me, because motivation isn't something that happens just because somebody said you can do it. That's not how that shit works. No. Ambition doesn't happen just because somebody says, and I don't care what's standing in your way, you can knock it down. That shit feels good, right? It feels really good, man. Yes, curiosity could be the link of wanting to learn more. Absolutely. Those things feel really good. But most of us are wrestling with real issues that need further conversation. I'm just not confident, and I know we got to scale stuff to make it financially viable or whatnot, but I'm not comfortable with selling mass solutions to people. Like that bothers me. When we say, nope, if you just come to this seminar, everybody, all 1,500 of you in this room listening to the same message, for whatever reason, this one message is going to be for all 1,500 of y'all, regardless that y'all live 1,500 different lives and got 1,500 different issues. Some of y'all have a strong locus or an internal locus of control. Some of you have an external locus of control. And I'm like, nah, bro, we actually need to do some work. In most cases, where that work needs to be done at is in the places of self-fidelity or fidelity of self and self-efficacy. So a strong sense of self-efficacy promotes human accomplishment and promotes well-being. A person with high self-efficacy views challenges as things that are supposed to be mastered rather than threats to avoid, which kind of going back to that curiosity thing, the challenge becomes curious.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is good. This is good only because it rhymes, all right? It's that preacher stuff. The challenge makes you curious instead of making you furious.
Come on.
You see that? You see?
Fast and furious.
Look, that's that what is it? Who was it? Jesse Jackson. But no, when the stronger your sense of self-efficacy, conflict switches that way to you're more curious about it than being mad at it. You're not mad at challenge. You're curious. I want to understand this. But then you think about that's how children are often as toddlers. They're not afraid of any challenge. They're curious about what is this. But these people often recover from failure faster and are more likely to attribute failure to a lack of effort or some other variable that they didn't predict. They approach threatening situations with the belief that they can control them. In the upcoming series, Unfuckwithable, which I'm looking forward to, we'll actually dive into how this idea of self-efficacy has been a necessary tool in every successful social revolution on this planet. We'll talk about that.
Wow.
But in contrast, people with a low sense of self-efficacy view difficult tasks as personal threats and shy away from them. Difficult tasks leads them to look at the skills they lack rather than the ones they have. It's easy for them to lose faith in their own abilities after a failure. And then low self-efficacy can be linked to higher levels of stress and depression, you know. So according to Albert Bandura, the most effective way to build self-efficacy is to engage in mastery experiences. All right. And this is so easy. Mastery experiences can be defined as a personal experience of success. This is how you build your efficacy.
Yeah.
Give yourself more stuff to win at.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is a basic principle. Whether you're talking about community development, personal development, organizational development, or team development, you need, and we talked about this last week, SMART goals.
Exactly.
Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, right? And this is the freedom that you're going to get here is that it can be anything. You just need more experience winning.
Yeah.
That's how you build your efficacy.
You're building that winning muscle.
You're building that winning muscle. You're building that muscle of trusting yourself. Achieving difficult goals in the face of adversity helps build confidence and strengthen perseverance. So whether it's something like playing a video game, playing an instrument, start giving yourself micro wins that become macro wins. You know what I'm saying? Start taking little small battles that you know that you have a high probability of winning, and then going, and then keep going and keep going and keep building.
And that's so good. That's what competition did for me: performing, coaching, learning a new skill. Because it's like, oh, I didn't die today. I didn't break my neck today. Boy, I'm bad.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Look it up.
Yes.
That's good.
And so another source of self-efficacy is through vicarious experiences of social models. Seeing someone who you view as similar to yourself succeed at something difficult can motivate you to believe that you have the skills necessary to achieve a similar goal. However, the inverse in the previous statement is true as well. Seeing someone fail at a task can lead to doubt in personal skills and abilities. The greater the assumed similarity, the more persuasive are the model's successes and failures. And I love that because there was just another conversation on comparison. And when we talk about, at least on the female side, what I've seen talk about comparison a lot, it's like, don't ever compare yourself. And they're talking about more so beauty and cosmetics and how you look. It's like, don't compare yourself, because it's going to put you down and things like that. But and we have mentioned this too. Comparison is not all bad.
That's right.
Because comparison can teach you some things. It can they can do that. Like, if I was a guy and I seen Michael Jordan, that's possible. I can fly from the free throw line and hit a dunk that ball.
Come on now.
I can do that too. So it's different things that are possible. Neil deGrasse Tyson, for young men who haven't seen a man like Neil become an astrophysicist. There was a 9-year-old, I think his name was David Golubon. He graduated high school at 9, and he said, I wanted to be an astrophysicist, and he got to meet Neil deGrasse Tyson because he saw somebody who looked like him doing what he wanted to do.
That's it. Even a major thing for me on this, for me sharing content Like I said, I've been motivated since 2014. I've been working on stuff since 2014. I didn't start sharing content till this year. Well, I did have two such vicarious experiences of social models. Dan Barker, who was also a former charismatic pastor, and then Anthony Penn, who was also a former Methodist pastor, but was black. Yeah. All right. So I remember, like, of course, I'd been watching atheist content for a while by that moment. But when I saw Dan, I was like, a former preacher? And he used to speak in tongues? And he has successfully navigated into this new life. Like by this time, I was pretty sure that I just have to live in the background. Like, even remember, that was the plan. The plan, even with building all of the organizations, the plan was for me to stay as far in the background as possible. I wasn't even going to be on leadership teams or nothing. Like, I'm just in the back puppeteering and shit, like Palpatine. But anyway, but dang, where was I going there? Oh no. But when I saw Dan, I was like, wow. And then I saw Anthony Penn, and I was like, okay, this is a black man, and he's writing about it, and he's talking about these experiences. And it has been for a while. It has been for a while. And so that definitely played a major role in helping to stimulate my sense of self-efficacy, to say that, oh yeah, you know, because sometimes you do have a hard time recognizing your value until you see it in others. Yeah. You know, because then you're able to say, man, that was valuable for me. And so maybe me doing it might be valuable as well. Right? Yep.
And you'll have another viewpoint.
Yes.
Point that you're bringing to the table.
Yes.
And so a third source of self-efficacy is found through persuasive experiences, strengthening the belief that one has the ability to succeed. Those who are positively persuaded that they have the ability to complete a given task show a greater and more sustained effort to complete a task. It also lowers the effect of self-doubt in a person. Yeah. However, those who are doing the encouraging put the person in a situation where the success is more often likely to be attained. Mm-hmm. If they are put in a situation prematurely with no hope of any success, it can undermine self-efficacy. And this is good for parenting, though.
Yep.
Like putting your child in a place where they
don't set people up to fail.
Right. Exactly.
Don't tell your horny teenagers that if somebody touches it, you're going to hell. You're setting them up for a situation that is going to absolutely destroy their self-efficacy. They're going to end up saying stuff like, I can't trust myself. That's what a self-efficacy issue is. You see how I did that, how I tied that back in there real quick? See, the big point here is that persuasive experiences are only effective when we are not setting people up for failure. We should be intentional about encouraging people towards attainable goals to help build their confidence muscles. And so again, like you said, taking it, whether we're talking about parenting or we're talking about team building, talking about community building, you're hiring new people at work, don't set up people for failure. Put people in positions where they can win. If you haven't, that means you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be those people. Now, even as our community grows, that's something we're going to have to be more and more mindful of, is how to set people up for success. Now, as of now, that comes after infrastructure. Until then, it's get in where you fit in.
Get in where you fit in.
Hallelujah.
Come on.
But a negative effect of low self-efficacy is that it can lead to a state of learned helplessness. All right. Mm-hmm. And learned helplessness was studied by Martin Seligman in an experiment. Oh, I like this. In an experiment in which shocks were applied to animals. Through the experiment, it was discovered that the animals placed in a cage where they could escape shocks by moving to a different part of the cage did not attempt to move if they had formerly been placed in a cage in which escape from the shocks was not possible. Okay, so because it was not possible before, it is likely not possible now. Okay,
come on.
Low self-efficacy can lead to this state in which it is believed that no amount of effort will make a difference.
Wow. And that's I've been in that place.
Yes.
I know how it is. Yeah, man.
We run into it all of the time.
Yeah, that's some good info there. And so Bandura showed the difference in self-efficacy correlates to fundamental different worldviews. People with high self-efficacy generally believe that they are in control of their own lives, that their own actions and decisions shape their lives, while people with low self-efficacy may see their lives as outside of their control. Oh my gosh, and we see it on comments when we're dealing with politics, anything. We ain't in control of that. They did this. It's always a they.
There's always a
They're
day.
never defining who the they is.
There's always
They,
a day.
it's a they assume that I'm in this and I have to stay in this the rest of my life. That's just the way it is, you know.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, come on, take the wheel.
That is the mindset of 99% of my family members, that this is the way that the world is. There's nothing you can do about it. And I typically correct them and say, no, there's nothing you can do about it. I am not you.
Come on.
I'm different. I've taken my seat.
And staying in the
Hey, standing on business, player. Now let me stop.
Here's an example. A student with high self-efficacy who does poorly on an exam will likely attribute the failure to the fact that they did not study enough. That was me. Like, oh, if I didn't feel, I need to study hard. However, a student with low self-efficacy who does poorly on the exam is likely to believe the cause of that failure was due to the test being too difficult or challenging, which the student does not control.
Yep. And I want to highlight that because sometimes that is the case, right? Like you do have jerk ass teachers, right? But the problem with that is that if that's your natural default position, you will never look for what you could have done.
Yes, or look for ways to adjust.
Yep. Right. Years ago, I removed the word blame from out of my focus. I don't blame anybody for anything. Like blame went away. Fault is something I'm not even concerned about anymore. Mm-hmm. For the most part, I don't give a fuck whose fault it was. Whose responsibility was it? And in most cases, when it comes to things pertaining to my life, it was my responsibility. Yeah. I've had people that have screwed me over and it was their fault. But me knowing that it was their fault does nothing to force them to fix it.
Right. Exactly.
Me understanding that it's my responsibility and that there's an outcome that I want and there is a way that I want to live my life, put me in a position where I'll just say, oh no, fuck you. I don't want to do business with you because it's my responsibility to recognize a fool when I see one. And now I'm good at it. I've gotten real good.
Their obligation, so they don't feel obligated.
Oh man. Yep. And that's a hard thing to learn because church kind of lies about that. Church kind of makes you all feel like everybody love you and we looking out for you. And the truth of the matter is everybody is really kind of looking out for themselves first, as they should be. They should be putting their mask on first. Yeah. And so sometimes we bought into the superstition so deeply that we like, I know for me, I became the sacrificial person. Yeah. I became the person that would be willing to cut myself over and over again so that other people could live. And then I'd be like mind blown when nobody was doing it for me. And then I realized like, no, you the fool that bought into this bullshit too much. Like you the one that's actually doing it. They're pretending to do it and are not going to do it. But the sad thing about it is, this is why therapy is so hard for people who are deconstructing. The sad thing about it is the only thing I could even blame them for is being a part of the belief system, because I can't blame them for not cutting themselves for me.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, goodness. Okay. So last week, we using character development as a framework, we platform motivation as an exploration of truth, answering the who, what, when, where, and why of our desire to do. In today's conversation, we're platforming ambition as an exploration of trust. And as a throwback to our trust issues conversation, it's not about trusting ourselves to get it right every time. It's about trusting ourselves to learn from the losses along the way. That's what fuels my ambition. My self-efficacy is so high, my willingness to act, and I have no presupposition that I'm going to get everything right. Yeah. The confidence that I have is that I'm smart enough to learn along the way. Mm. That's the confidence that I have. The confidence that I have, like, no, I'm smart enough to learn. Yeah. But what if you fall? I'll get up.
I'll get it. Mm-hmm.
What if you get hit? I'll hit back. What if something gets in the way? I will go around it, go through it, climb over it, whatever I got to do.
And that's the same with running. That was saying I ran into a dead end. Well, dead end is not necessarily a true dead end.
No, there's still trees behind
Get out
that.
and walk.
That's right.
You can go through it.
Come on. Wherever there's a will, there's a way. No,
turn around.
Come on now. That's how you become unfuckwithable. You got to be determined. Now you have to make sure that your determination is grounded in reality. But as long as you do that, like within your human capacity, there's very little that we can't get done. I think many times we're just uncomfortable with the work. We're either uncomfortable with the work, or we're uncomfortable with the idea of having to work through the problems.
Yeah.
Because most time we only want to work if it's guaranteed to win. And it's just like, no, the reason you want to do the work, I'm telling you, losses are necessary. Failure is necessary. You come to me and tell me you've built a rocket ship, and this is the first rocket ship you've ever built. I'm not getting on that motherfucker. Okay? You tell me you've built the rocket ship, and this is the first one you've ever built. I'm not getting on it. You missed a very valuable part of the process. And this is what we do in life. We expect to have a full rocket ship when rocket science requires several failed missions. Those missions are required. We need false starts. We need engines exploding when nobody's in the rocket. We need that happening then. You need the failure to learn how to safeguard the future. Oh, that's good. I'm going to say that one again.
Come on.
You need the failure to learn how to safeguard the future, because you're not omnipotent. You're not omnipotent. You're not omniscient. You don't know all things. There are like a million variables of things that can go wrong. And so you really don't even know what those things are. You don't get an introduction into that world until you fail at something. And honestly, you don't become great at anything until you fail at it over and over and over and over again. But because this religious superstition has attached failure to sin. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We have put constant barriers in front of ourselves. Like I love comedy. Love stand-up comedians. I don't know one stand-up comedian that's never been booed off of a stage. I know plenty of people who never became stand-up comedians again who got booed off a stage.
That's what you became, the Bernie Mac of your show.
Come on, I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
Yeah. Come out with me.
But everybody who became great, they had to get used to getting booed too.
Yeah.
And they had to learn from the boos. Mm-hmm. Oh, they don't like this joke. They don't like this delivery style.
DeAnto's
Yep, okay. Take these little notes right here. Y'all like that, huh? But like it's really like you have to value your losses, and that's one thing I do want to teach people is like, because the reason we don't value our losses is because we feel like we're supposed to be perfect, and like I don't know what the fuck perfection is, so get that shit out your head. Fail at things, get them out your system. That's how you learn. And so throughout this series, we've been building a conversational roadmap to help us navigate, support, and troubleshoot as we're on this journey of drive discovery. For each component of drive that we discuss, we're going to share a definition, a practice, and a posture, a focus, and a guiding question. And how you can and you can do with these however you want to do these. It's a purely subjective exercise. But last week's component, for example, was motivation. We didn't get time to share it then, so I'll share it now before we close out with ambition. The component was motivation. Definition for motivation that we're working with is desire to do, stimulated by risk, reason, and or reward. A practice and a posture, like a self-help practice, that if you feel like you struggle with motivation, I'm about to give you something that no motivational speaker will ever give you. There are not enough motivational speeches in the world that are going to help you with your motivation problem, because motivation is an internal issue. All right. So, but there is a self-help practice, a self-help tool, if you will, that is highly effective for increasing motivation because it's highly effective at changing your posture to awareness. And that's meditation. Because remember, motivation is all about the who, the what, the when, the where, the why. It's an exploration of who I am. So for those of you who may be struggling with motivation, think about adding a meditation practice, a meditation routine into your practice. The focus of meditation, motivation. The focus of motivation is fidelity, being true to myself. That's why we use the actor. The actor, when they're asking these questions, what's my motivation? Who am I? Where am I? What hurts me? What they're trying to do is to be true to the character.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the guiding question then is, am I being true to myself, my character, and my role? Yeah. That's the guiding question of motivation. Now we can talk about ambition, since that was today's conversation. And the component obviously is ambition. The definition is willingness to act accordingly. You can go ahead and add by any means necessary to that. Like willing to act for you. The practice, a good self-help practice to work on your ambition is affirmation. Now I need to pull affirmations out of the realm of the woo for a moment. Yeah. Affirmations, because I see a lot of them. And for a while, I used to do some of these on my TikTok channel to just kind of give people like some secular affirmations. And it wasn't even just secular. It was just like, say shit that's true, So like you saying you are a millionaire with millions of dollars in the bank account. You can say that shit all day long.
If you don't do anything.
Doesn't make it true. That's not how words work. And so that's not what affirmation is. When I see affirmation processing like that, to me, it's like a few kids, sat in and saw some adults doing affirmations and then went out and developed their own practice. That's like the most childish way at all. Affirmation is reminding yourself what you know about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's affirming who you are. It's acknowledging who you are. And we actually all do it typically when we go through tough times in life and you have nobody else to depend on but yourself. You will find yourself looking in the mirror saying, you can get through this. Okay, now you've made it through way worse than this before. Those are affirmations. And the reason that becomes so powerful and the reason why it has such a profound impact on our efficacy, because most times what has led to that lack of efficacy is having nobody do that. Is that not many people have affirmed you in the areas that you needed to be affirmed, or it's been so long since you've been considered worth affirming that nobody affirms you anymore. So you have to take your seat there and just say, okay, if nobody else is going to affirm me, I will affirm me. I will acknowledge my own greatness. I will acknowledge the things that I've won at. I will acknowledge my micro wins. I will acknowledge the things that make me happy. I will sit there. You played the hell out of that video game today. You slaughtered them on Fortnite. You are a beast. Yes, you are. You can do that shit. That's what I do. When it comes to meditation and affirmation, I do like to pull those out of the realm of woo. Yay, that's right. Dissatisfaction helps motivation. Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. And so the focus for ambition, which we've talked about throughout this conversation today, is efficacy, self-efficacy. It's getting to that place where I trust myself, I trust myself. And so the guiding question for our ambition is, am I capable of following through? Yeah. And it's not like sometimes you hear questions, it's like, oh no. And it's like, no, am I capable of following through? The work that we're trying to help us all get through is if my answer to that is no, then what do I need to do to get there? Yeah. What is it that I'm like? Okay. It's no, so that's the end. No. And so as we wrap up today's conversation on ambition, I want to ask you, what is your bold personal decision? We've asked this a few times today. What goals ignite your passion and where do you direct your energy? Here at Bridge City, we're not just talking about ambition. As you can see, we're cultivating it.
Yeah.
We're creating a space where you can affirm your capabilities, acknowledge your potential, and build your self-efficacy. A space where you can transform motivation into sustained action, and where your ambition is not only welcomed, but encouraged, damn near celebrated. Our invitation is simple. Join us in this journey of self-discovery and growth. Commit to exploring your ambitions, strengthening your self-efficacy, and becoming the driver of your own life. Whether you're focusing on personal growth, personal development, or community building, this is your moment to step forward and take the wheel. We believe that by trusting in your own abilities and embracing our ambitions, we can not only achieve our individual goals, but also contribute to greater collective impact. And at the end of the day, that's kind of the point. Your ambition fuels not just your drive, but it inspires others to find their own. If today's conversation sparks something within you, if it challenged you to consider what you're truly capable of, I invite you to take the next step. Committing to acting on your ambitions. Trust yourself to follow through, to learn from every experience, and to continually expand your capacity. Together, we're not just building a community, we're fostering a movement of empowered individuals ready to make meaningful change. And so if you're ready to fuel your ambition and be a part of this transformative journey and community, take a few seconds to let us know by filling out our online form. We want to know you. We want to support you. We want to welcome you into this wonderful community of people trying to make a difference without dogma, doctrine, or deities. That's all I got for now.
Dogmas. So get involved with Bridge City. We have some forms that we're dropping in the chat. You can always fill out to get to know us. You can also visit dodd.us if you want to just learn a little bit more information. You can reach us that way as well. But in today's conversation, it was just such a great conversation. Y'all, thank you all for tuning in. We explored the concept of ambition as a crucial element of our drive to achieve goals. We begin by defining drive as the intentional motivational to achieve a goal, combined with the action and commitment that keeps us moving forward, even when motivation wanes. We pose the question, ambitious for what? Which that may be the question of the week. Ambitious for what?
Ambitious for what? And the response is what? This is for me.
This is for me. Hello, somebody. And so recognizing that ambition often carries negative connotations due to cultural superstitions and misconceptions, linking personal desires to negative traits like pride or selfishness. We challenge these notions, emphasizing that ambition is essential for sustainable effort and helps us channel our energy towards meaningful goals. We finally concluded that by emphasizing the importance of trusting ourselves, not just to get things right every time, which it's like you want to get it right, but to learn from losses along the way. Our invitation to community encourage you to harness your ambition, affirm your abilities, and join us in the journey of self-discovery and growth. We invited you to consider your bold personal decision and to commit to acting on your ambitions, contributing to a collective movement toward meaningful change. And by embracing our ambitions and strengthening our self-efficacy, we position ourselves not only to achieve personal goals, but also to inspire and uplift others within our community. And that is my goal. Personally, I've always, since I was a little girl, I always wanted whoever comes in contact with me, whoever sees something I'm doing or participates with me or whatever I'm doing, I want someone to be inspired and uplifted. So I hope that you always are. And so if you enjoyed this conversation, come back to next week's convo, which is going to be another good one. It's going to be on the topic too persistent to quit. Hammer time. We probably
too quick. Hey, that used to be the joint. Y'all wondering about that?
Oh, and you could get into we should have played Bobby Brown's My Prerogative.
It's my prerogative. Dum, dum. Oh yes.
You know.
Oh man, can't wait to the house party.
Yes. So thanks again for all who stayed
Yay.
to the very end to now. Thank you so much for joining this week's Sunday sessions and all of the Sunday sessions. We're in fall now. We're not in
We're in
summer.
the fall,
So
yeah.
thank you for those who tuned in early
Yes.
on when we first started. We so greatly appreciate you. Consider bringing a friend next week. Don't forget to join the call-in show, which is next Sunday evening at
Yes.
5 Central.
Yes.
Which is 6 Eastern. And so if you value these conversations and the work that we're doing, we made it easier for you to support. You can do that through Patreon, become a YouTube member, super chats, purchase merch, and through any other links that are in the description. We greatly appreciate you. It helps keep us going. Don't forget, your tax deductible financial contributions will be used to support the mission of building community beyond superstition. If whoever knew us before, you even seen Darante starting on his channel, then you know we always been about that business, just building community, helping our community. We are being the example that we want our children to be or to get inspo from. So
Yeah.
we don't just talk about it. We are about it and have been as individuals, and we are as a couple as well. And so if you want to learn more about our work beyond Bridge City, again, visit our website. I'll drop it in the chat. Don't forget to join Discord if you haven't already. Discord is growing.
It is. And I was just looking at our poll. I saw that 53% responded, "What the fuck is Discord?" See, you got to click the link to find out. Now, honestly, I was there with you before this year, so I promise you, you'll love it. Discord, like there's real community growing there. And honestly, that's where the work of community is going to happen at until we start spreading out into the localities.
Absolutely. It's very easy. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to. You can just type in, you can auto in, have little chats. That's where we have our game nights. So if you want to join game night, it's normally next Saturday, start at 6 Central. So yeah. Or Discord. So I put the link in there. You could click that link. It should route you to you may have to create a profile if you don't have one already, but it'll guide you through that as well. And so that's all we have for you all today. I hope if you're going to eat something, I hope you have a good meal today. Have a great rest of your day. If it's time to go to bed, hope you have a great sleep.
And for those of you hanging out in the chat, man, thank you all. Like this is always incredible. Can't wait to hang out with more of you in Discord. Thank you for so much. Thank you all for just the incredible roles that you play in this community. Man, after meeting chat group, post-session hangout in the Discord. All right, I think that's it. So until next time, y'all keep rising. And until next time, be the bridge. Still looking at myself. We're going to take a minute. We're going to go away in a few.
I was living my life in the servitude of misunderstandings of people I loved. Giving it all, it was never enough. Because of the fall, I could never get up. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them. I was drowning, now I swim. 'Cause I found the strength within. I don't need your absent friend. 'Cause I got this, yeah. 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 This is holy ground. Depraved and deprived, I was living your lies. Lost in a moment with true sacrifice.
Voices aplenty that never seem right. Visions, distractions that altered my sight. I moved on from their misunderstandings. I am no longer standing under them. I was drowning, now I swim, 'cause I found the strength within. I don't need your absent friend, 'cause I got this, yeah. 'Cause I got this, yeah. 'Cause I got this, yeah. 'Cause I got